I mean, you have to watch the video just if you want to be sick. If you're feeling like you need to throw your dinner up, go and watch the video online.
So what will be next? A presidential campaign, a leaked tape, that can't be far away, or maybe a freedom flotilla from Montecito to the Gaza Strip from somebody who's a member of the British royal family putting out a twerking, heavily pregnant video with him dancing around like a wooden clown.
She dropped a video claiming it was a candid maternity moment, but what surfaced online looked more like a staged spectacle than an authentic memory. The clip, filmed in what appears to be a hospital room, showed Meghan 9 months pregnant, dancing, squatting, even twerking energetically, all while holding a bump critics say was too firm, too high, and too perfect. Within hours, conspiracy theorists and even self-identified nurses flooded social media, pointing out oddities like the bump stiff movement and what seemed like a lack of real hospital equipment. Overnight, fake bump and moon bump blew up, igniting a firestorm of speculation about whether this was performance or pregnancy. And then came Piers Morgan, never one to mince words. On X, he tore into Meghan's clip. "We're about 2 months away from the sex tape." His words echoed loud in headlines and fueled the explosive turn in the narrative. The backlash snowballed fast, memes mocking the video, outraged pundits asking if she'd completely lost it, and even palace insiders reportedly deeming the stunt tragic and unbecoming of royalty. That's when the facade started crumbling. Fans began retracing Meghan's past birth announcements and finding inconsistencies, while experts warned the implications could be more than embarrassing. They could be legal.
I said you turn it out.
If she a baby mama,
Go ahead.
she gon' do that baby mama.
Work.
She gon' put it on you.
At first glance, it looked like a weird attempt at a TikTok trend. Meghan Markle standing in a dimly lit hospital room, swaying her hips and laughing, while Prince Harry danced beside her. But it wasn't just the setting that caught people off guard, it was the vibe. The music blared with lyrics about being a baby mama and demanding child support, as Meghan held her stomach and moved in ways that most expectant mothers wouldn't even try. She was squatting, bending, even twerking. The video felt completely out of step with everything we'd come to expect from someone who once wore a crown. It didn't look like a birth announcement. It looked like a performance wrapped in attitude, staged in a hospital room, and broadcast for everyone to see. Within hours, the internet exploded. Clips were reposted with captions like, "What am I watching?" and "Is this a joke?" Hashtag spread. Memes popped up, and beneath the surface humor, there was one question echoing louder than the rest. Is that bump even real? This wasn't just another awkward celebrity video. It was the spark that lit a fire. This wasn't the first time people had raised eyebrows over Meghan's pregnancies. In fact, whispers about her wearing a prosthetic bump had been circulating since 2019. Back then, photos and videos showed her belly folding oddly when she sat down, or shifting shape in a way that didn't quite match how pregnancy typically works. But every time those clips resurfaced, mainstream media brushed them off as conspiracy nonsense, chalking it up to bad camera angles or overzealous internet trolls. Still, the speculation never fully disappeared. Forums buzzed, gossip sites hinted, and amateur sleuths collected evidence like digital detectives. But without anything concrete, the rumors stayed in the shadows. Until now. This new video didn't just stir the pot, it boiled it over. The bump in the hospital clip moved unnaturally, too low, too firm, too perfect. And for those who had always questioned Meghan's story, it was validation they'd been waiting for. Even figures like Piers Morgan and Jeremy Kyle, who'd previously been dismissed as loudmouthed critics, suddenly sounded like the only ones asking what everyone else was thinking. What if the rumors weren't just rumors anymore? At first, it sounded like tabloid fluff, just another wild theory in the endless circus around Harry and Meghan. But this time, the whispers hit something deeper. Because in the United Kingdom, royal lineage isn't just symbolic, it's governed by law. And one rule is crystal clear. For a child to be in the line of succession, they must be born of the body of a royal. Which means, if Meghan had used a surrogate and concealed it, the implications wouldn't just be personal, they'd be constitutional. Archie and Lilibet's place in the royal family wouldn't just be controversial, it could be legally invalid. Suddenly, this wasn't about bump folds or strange dancing. It was about monarchy, tradition, and legitimacy. What had once been dismissed as online trolling was now creeping into serious legal and political territory. That's why the video wasn't just bizarre, it was dangerous. Because if there's even a sliver of truth behind the theory, it could unravel the very foundation of the Sussex children's royal status. And no one at the palace seemed ready to deal with that fallout. The internet didn't just watch the video, they dissected it, frame by frame. Every movement, every angle, every odd shift in that bump was picked apart by thousands of eyes. Viewers pointed out how the belly sat unusually low, how it stayed stiff even as Meghan moved wildly. And then came the real scrutiny, from people who actually knew what they were talking about. Doctors, nurses, midwives, and mothers across social media began chiming in. "That's not how a real bump behaves," said one nurse. "The way she's squatting and dancing, no one over due would be able to do that." Others highlighted how the hospital room didn't look right. The bed was too low, the IV placement was off, and the overall setup felt more like a film set than a delivery ward. Even longtime defenders of Meghan grew noticeably quiet. No excuses, no explanations, just silence. That alone raised more eyebrows. The bump, many noted, looked more like something you'd order online than the result of a 9-month pregnancy. Too round, too smooth, too artificial. And when old footage began resurfacing, clips showing similar oddities in previous appearances, the theory began gaining real momentum. This wasn't just internet noise anymore, it was expert-backed doubt. Once the video caught fire, the reaction was swift and brutal. Social media turned into a frenzy of memes, hot takes, and side-by-side comparisons. But it wasn't just anonymous users throwing shade. Prominent voices began stepping in, and they weren't pulling punches. Piers Morgan, never one to miss a shot at Meghan, posted a scathing comment. "We're about 2 months away from the sex tape." Harsh, yes, but it reflected how unhinged the whole situation looked to many.
She's dancing in front of the camera. Oh God, it looks like a lap dancing club with pregnant women. He's also dancing in front of the camera. Now you're posting yourself twerking. Oh, this is getting worse, this video. She's getting lower by the minute. He's now playing with his groin. I think there is now sick, essentially, in my mouth.
Jeremy Kyle wasn't any kinder. Live on air, he practically gagged while describing the scene. Meghan twerking in a black dress, Harry awkwardly dancing beside her. "It looks like a lap dancing club for pregnant women," he said, his face twisted in disbelief. The criticism went beyond mockery. Kyle blasted the couple for hypocrisy, how they once demanded privacy, only to now stage what looked like a maternity-themed performance piece for clicks. "Jam jars no one wants? Chickens? And now this," he groaned, painting the image of a duo completely detached from dignity. Suddenly, even mainstream media, usually cautious about anything that might border on conspiracy, began poking around. Quietly, carefully. But they were asking the same thing everyone else was. What if this wasn't just another weird Sussex stunt? What if it's evidence of something far more serious? As the storm raged online, Meghan said, "Nothing. No statement, no clarification, not even a passive-aggressive Instagram quote. Just silence." And that silence was deafening. Because while the public waited for any kind of response, the media machine kicked into a different gear, one that operated behind the scenes. Mainstream outlets continued publishing fluff, birthday posts, lifestyle updates, baby photos. But behind the curtain, reporters were texting sources, hunting for leaks, and trying to figure out where and when that hospital video was actually filmed. Was it new? Was it from years ago? Was it even real? The questions snowballed, and the lack of answers only made things worse. Even journalists who had once defended Meghan now seemed uneasy. One anchor cautiously said, "If this video was meant to prove something, it's only raised more doubt." Another pointed out that Meghan didn't look like a woman in labor. She looked like a performer, playing a part. Meanwhile, whispers from inside the palace began surfacing. Off-the-record comments, anonymous tips, sudden nervous energy from a family that had grown used to chaos. But not like this. Because this time, it wasn't just a PR mess, it was a crisis waiting to explode. As pressure mounted, the questions stopped being about optics and turned into something far more dangerous: legality. Royal experts began reminding the public of a critical rule in the monarchy, one that had never mattered more: To be in the line of succession, a royal child must be born of the body. Surrogacy, unless openly declared and legally verified, could disqualify them. And Meghan had never disclosed anything. No surrogate, no complications, nothing. If this was staged, if the bump was fake and a surrogate was quietly used, then the entire narrative around Archie and Lilibet could unravel. Suddenly, petitions began circulating. People weren't just mocking the Sussexes anymore, they were demanding accountability. Some wanted the children's titles stripped. Others called for an official palace inquiry. And then came the biggest jolt yet. Rumors that Prince Harry was considering dropping the Windsor surname altogether and taking his mother's maiden name, Spencer. Whether true or not, the symbolism was enough to send shockwaves through royal circles. Sources claimed King Charles was deeply disappointed, while Prince William was reportedly livid. Not just because of the chaos, but because it pulled the family back into the drama just as he tried to modernize the monarchy's image. Books were rewritten. Palace insiders, once tight-lipped, began to speak anonymously. "We've protected them long enough," one reportedly said. "This isn't about the media anymore. It's about national trust." And that trust was hanging by a thread. By now, the mood had shifted. What started as mockery had turned into something darker. Discomfort, suspicion, and a gnawing feeling that something wasn't right. The palace's silence, once seen as poise, now looked like evasion. The longer they ignored the growing storm, the more the public asked, what else are they hiding? This wasn't just about a strange video or a potentially fake pregnancy. It was about trust, something the royal family has always depended on, especially during moments of scandal. And Meghan's video, with its glossy editing, staged vibe, and off-putting symbolism, felt like a breaking point for many. People didn't just question Meghan, they began to question everything. The legitimacy of the Sussex children, the honesty of the royal institution, the narrative the world had been sold. And still, no answers, no denials, no explanations, just silence. But that silence, ironically, said more than any press release ever could. Because when people stop believing in the stories they're told, when the cracks become too wide to ignore, it's not just reputations at risk, it's the foundation itself. And in the eyes of many, that foundation just took a direct hit. So, was it just a fun dance? Or the moment Meghan's image finally cracked? With Piers Morgan firing shots and backlash piling up, this video may have done more damage than she ever expected. What do you think? Public meltdown or media overreaction? Drop your take in the comments. And if you thought this was wild, make sure to subscribe, because in Hollywood and royalty, the drama never stops.